Warriors continued their third quarter domination, outscoring Boston by 8. The series then outscored the Celtics by 43 in that third quarter. But Boston outscored Golden State 23-11 in the fourth for the win. The Celtics had a +7 turnover differential in the fourth. The Warriors shot 1 for 9 on threes. And a scare for the Warriors. Steph Curry came out with 2:19 left in the game after Al Horford rolled onto his leg on a loose ball. Afterward, Steph said, obviously in some pain, but I'll be all right. Om Young-Misuk joins me now from Boston, where he's covering the Warriors. Om, it looked to me like when I saw it, it looked like, ooh, that's right up to the line before you go, oh, he's going to be missing, right? He's going to be out for a while. What's the latest on Steph?
Max, I was just told just a few minutes ago there is optimism surrounding Steph Curry's injury, that it is not significant. This is huge news for the Warriors because when that play happened, I was thinking to myself, this is a moment that could change the entire NBA Finals. You see Steph writhing in pain, stomping his legs on the floor. I asked Draymond Green last night what he saw in that pileup, and he actually said, I got my 6th foul trying to toss people off of him because I heard Steph screaming at the bottom of that pile. When you hear that, you think the worst. But so far, it sounds like there's good news that Steph Curry has avoided significant injury. Steve Kerr's going to talk to the media at 2:15 shortly, and then Steph Curry will talk around 2:35. And look, the one thing we know, they need Steph Curry's offense, but what we've seen since Game 2 is that Steph Curry, he's not getting that airspace he normally gets when he comes around screens. He has to create his own offense. It didn't quite work in Game 3. Boston's defenders were able to kind of really slow him down, but if he is hampered the slightest bit, this is going to impact him and his ability to score and create his own space.
Thank you, Om. And all I can think is, guys, Pat Bev and Dave Jacoby, good thing Steph's put in all that hard work, bulking himself up, right? Yeah. Like in a moment like that, you're like, whew. Pat, how worried are you about Steph's injury?
I'm not worried. Not worried at all. Obviously, we got the report from Om that, everything's okay. But I will say this, from an athlete standpoint, if I was to get, an ankle roll or, some muscle tightness after a game and I was to come back the next game, I tend to focus a little bit more, usually players that come back from injury tend to have better games, so I just want to watch out for that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What about your thoughts on the leg and how it could affect, like, no one's 100% this time.
No,
here, right?
Everyone's beat up. You go up and down the rosters for both sides. Everyone's got, little bumps and bruises. But I think Pat makes a really interesting point about the focus, about having that in your head, you need to prepare more, you need to be ready, you need to be locked in. And one thing about Steph in this series, what we've learned is they need him on both ends of the floor because he's done a lot defensively in game 2 specifically, but he's been a two-way player in this finals that I haven't seen in previous finals from Steph.
But I always thought Steph was present on defense, just not a good defender, but present on defense, and that means a lot. And I don't care what anyone says. I was waiting for him to have a finals like this. I have not seen it before with no KD there. I know you're going to have your 30 points. You're going to shoot. What about in the second half when the team needs it most? Game 2, there he was. Game 3, there he was. No one can do it by himself. He needs some help. Yeah. But for the first time in a non-KD Warriors finals, I've seen Steph step up in the second half of games when the going gets tough. Pat, you were high on the Warriors before the series started. How did they find themselves in a 2-1 hole?
They are letting the ball get into the paint all the time. They went from guarding a little bit to a point where everyone's just get blown by now. And when that happens, I don't know a defense in the NBA that can sustain an offense that just gets in your paint all the time. They're putting pressure on them. Obviously, Robert Williams is right there on the dunker. He's a lob threat. You have to be scared about that. The guard has to help in. The corners are open. You're not rotating from the top of the key. So it's a lot of things going on, but it starts with the ball pressure and it starts with ball containment. And Golden State has lacked that the last couple.
And that's probably one of the things they were thinking when they draft Wiseman, who's not available and maybe hasn't developed exactly the way they would have liked. Jacoby, what stood out to you from Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown has been so aggressive in this series, and let's not forget the fourth quarter of Game 1. It was him that was the catalyst of that led to all those threes. And one thing I noticed from last night is Now, Pat, you can appreciate this. A lot of people don't look at you when they have you as a matchup and say, "I'm going right to the basket, going past you." He did that to Draymond Green last night.
Waved off Steph.
Yeah, former Defensive Player of the Year, Jaylen Brown says, "I'm good. I'm going past Draymond Green, and I'm going to the rack." He's been aggressive, and he has been more sort of important in igniting runs for them than Jason Tatum has. That's not something I expected going into this series.
Aggressive.
And I agree with that. Totally, like his ones right now. When we say ones, we mean like your one-on-one package to get past a defender. He has the best ones on the floor for both teams. His size, his ability to finish, his ability to shoot. Look, he waves off. I don't want Steph. I want the.
But that's
the main
Draymond Green.
defender,
That's Draymond Green too.
And as a defender, you see that. You know, man, I'm gonna just go at Pat Bev. I'm gonna just go at Draymond. My teammates see that, man. It's a long day. It's
That's
a long
interesting
day.
because
You don't get that a lot, right?
Yeah, I don't.
A lot of times, come send me one.
I don't.
Marcus Smart, like for Steph to get some air with Marcus Smart, it takes Draymond holding him and you know, like it takes screens and all kinds of stuff. And here's Jaylen Brown, just his ones, huh? Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.